We all know them. The coworker who repeats news headlines as if they're his own original thoughts. The political zealot who can't deviate from their talking points. The person who gets their personality entirely from TikTok trends. Or the college student who's offended on command. The influencer who has 5 identical opinions on rotation. We know them. The NPC. But what if the most terrifying NPC you encounter today is the one you see in the mirror every morning? How much of your own mind is actually yours? How many of your reactions are scripts? How many of your opinions are pre-programmed? How much of your outrage is actually your own? The NPC isn't just a meme about other people. It's a diagnostic tool for your own soul. But to use that tool, we first have to define the malfunction. So what is an NPC exactly? The NPC are those who do not think for themselves. They have no internal dialogue. They don't just follow their societal programming. They enjoy it. They rely on the nightly news to stay informed. They never question the mainstream narrative, and they think, why wouldn't they? The news would never lie to me. The government is there to protect me. The term NPC comes from gaming culture. In video games, an NPC, or a non-playable character, is any character not controlled by a human player. They follow scripts, have limited dialogue options, and exist to advance the plot or fill the world with activity. These are your villagers in Skyrim, the shopkeepers in Zelda. They respond, but they do not initiate. They are strictly background characters. And that's exactly what an NPC is. A person who behaves like a background character in their own life. They are predictable, pre-programmed, and driven by external narratives instead of any internal dialogue. The NPC meme was born from an ancient truth about consciousness and conformity. The world is separated between players, those with self-awareness, agency, and inner direction, and the NPCs, those who unconsciously follow the pre-programmed scripts. This is the initiated and the profane, those who are awake and those who are asleep. The NPC meme reiterates an ancient understanding. Those who possess awakened awareness have long recognized that the majority of humanity operates within programmed patterns of existence. They function as spiritual automatons rather than sovereign beings. A perfect case study of this programming and its consequences, we need to look no further than the Charlie Kirk situation and the NPC response it triggered. As soon as Kirk was removed from the world stage, an extremely predictable nationwide script was activated. The same headlines, the same talking points, the same performative grief and condemnation flowed from media outlets and social media accounts alike, not as an organic human reaction, but as a pre-programmed response. This was a mass Agent Smith event. An important role of the NPC is to unconsciously protect the matrix and serve as unwitting agents of the suppression of awakening in others, attacking those who question consensus reality. And the most telling NPC behavior emerged around the reason for the death. In the months before his death, Kirk had reportedly grown critical of Israel and his donors, even expressing fear for his life. This inconvenient truth threatened the entire narrative, so the programming kicked in. This detail was suppressed, ignored, or dismissed as conspiracy theory. The official script was solely about far-left radicalization. The NPCs, the guardians of the Matrix, could not compute a more complex, politically inconvenient reality. They defended the simulation by omitting any facts that didn't fit the pre-approved narrative. This is the NPC in its purest form, not just refusing to see the shadows on the cave wall for what they are, but actively attacking anyone who points to the fire casting them. Kirk's shift in views was a glitch in their reality, and the system, through its human agents, worked to patch that glitch by memory holing it. And the real irony, the deepest layer of this whole story, is that Charlie Kirk himself represented the ultimate NPC before his death, a living embodiment of the program's consciousness we've described. For years, Kirk operated on a clearly defined script, a predictable set of talking points, curated outrage, a persona manufactured for and funded by specific kosher interests. He was a reliable avatar for Zion First, a well-funded puppet reading from the teleprompter of approved dissonant. He was, by definition, a high-profile, non-playable character in the political game. This is what makes his final months so fascinating and horrifying. Whatever your thoughts on the entire situation, either dead or alive, he was definitely waking up to the JQ. The puppet was becoming aware of the puppeteer. Kirk is the perfect case study of the NPC starting to wake up from his programming. This wasn't just a change of opinion, it was the beginnings of a spiritual awakening, a glimmer of gnosis breaking through the program persona. In essence, he was taking the red pill, and in doing so, he transformed from a guardian of that sector of the Matrix into its greatest threat. Thus, his removal from the world stage could be seen as a metaphysical, systematic elimination of a glitching program. The Matrix always defends itself. The system can't tolerate an NPC achieving true player status because it reveals the entire illusion. His death was a chilling warning of the cost of waking up. Kirk's story is the perfect dark allegory for our time. The NPC beginning to wake up, the archetype of the NPC who saw the cave wall for what it was and was silenced for describing the fire. But the truth is, the concept of NPCs is far from new. It is archaic, and its spiritual parallel can be found throughout many different esoteric traditions. In Plato's allegory of the cave, prisoners are chained from birth. Facing a wall, they see only shadows cast by a fire behind them, mistaking these flickering illusions for the entirety of reality. Their entire worldview is a derivative copy, a secondhand reality. The NPC is the perfect modern cave dweller. Their cave is not underground, but psychological and technological. The shadows on the wall are the curated narratives of the corporate media, the trending topics on social media, and the approved opinions of academic and cultural institutions. They consume a manufactured spectacle, a shadow play of politics, social issues, and consumer desires, and believe it to be the real objective truth. When presented with evidence of a world outside the cave, the realm of forms or objective reality, the NPC reacts with disdain or hostility, much like Plato's prisoners who would kill the free man who tried to enlighten them. They are comfortable in their chains, having internalized the cave's dimensions as the limits of the possible. Their reality is a consensus hallucination, and they defend it fiercely. This is exactly like the agents in the Matrix. You may have seen the Agent Smith effect meme. In the movie The Matrix, Agent Smith has the ability to enter any body at any time, and that often happens when the Matrix is threatened by Neo. This scenario is a direct reflection of our real world. For an example, you're having a conversation with a friend and everything is fine until you mention something like 9/11 was an inside job. Now watch what happens. Up pops Agent Smith to replace the person you were just having a conversation with, to attack you, because all truths threaten the matrix. And the fact is, most people have had the Agent Smith matrix programming since birth. These programmed people become the guardians of the matrix, protectors of the code, the police of mind control, and enforcers of the indoctrination, which holds together our false concept of reality like superglue. Now, the agents are not a one-to-one match of the NPC, but you can obviously see the comparison. An almost exact spiritual parallel of the NPC with Agent Smith programming can be found in Gnosticism. The Gnostics divided humanity into three categories. First was the pneumatics, the spiritual, those who possess a divine spark and are capable of gnosis, or direct knowledge of the true God and the celestial realms beyond the material universe. Second was the psychics, the soulish, those with a soul who can choose to ascend through faith and good works, but are not inherently divine. Third is the helix. This is the material, those completely dominated by their physical nature. They are utterly ignorant of the spiritual world, concerned only with base material desires in the illusion of the physical realm. The Hylic is the ultimate Gnostic NPC. They are not merely unaware of the truth, they are active inhabitants of the prison itself, perfectly content with their chains, like those in Plato's cave. They are the creation of the false god, the demiurge, Yaldabaoth, who fashioned the material world as a trap for divine sparks. The Hylics serve the archons, the servants of the demiurge, by reinforcing the material illusion and attacking those who seek to escape it. Similar to the agents in the Matrix, their energy sustains the false system, much like G.I. Gurdjieff's Food for the Moon. In G.I. Gurdjieff's fourth way teachings, the NPC can of course be found. Gurdjieff taught that most humans were mere slugs with no souls, mechanical beings who live and die without experiencing true consciousness. He taught that following death, the psychic energy of the unevolved is simply food for the moon. Like a magnet, the moon draws human souls into it at the time of death. This echoes the Etruscan mythology, where the moon served as the underworld, a realm of shadows rather than enlightenment. Gurdjieff taught that most humans never develop the magnetic center necessary to resist this lunar pull. Their energy is harvested, recycled, and consumed by cosmic forces beyond their comprehension. These are the original NPCs, beings who merely simulate life without participating in the divine drama of conscious evolution. This brings us to the work of Carl Jung. Jung defined the persona as the social mask we wear to fit into society. It is a necessary archetype for navigating the world, but psychological health depends on recognizing it as a mask, distinct from the true self. The danger arises when an individual identifies completely with their persona, forgetting who they are beneath the performative mask. The NPC is someone whose persona has cannibalized their self. They are not playing a role, they have become the role. Their opinions are not convictions forged through experience and reason, but are adopted from their chosen social tribe. They perform wokeness, conservatism, consumerism, not as an expression of inner truth, but as a signal of tribal membership. Their online avatars and real-world behaviors are scripts written by the collective. They react to events not with genuine emotion, but with the appropriate emotion as dictated by their ideological and societal programming. Grief, outrage, joy, these become predictable performances. The NPC lacks self-actualization. They are hollow vessels filled with the chatter of the crowd, a living archetype stripped of its soul. This brings us to the most shocking spiritual parallel of the NPC, which is found in the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah teaches that the second soul of a Jew is literally part of God above, while the souls of the nations of the world, the Gentiles or non-Jews, derived from the Sitra Achara, the other side, the demonic shells or husks. In the Lurianic Kabbalah, this isn't merely theological speculation, but a foundational concept. The Klipothic tree represents the other side, the Sitra Achara or tree of death that mirrors the tree of life. These are the broken vessels that failed to contain the divine light during creation, becoming realms of impurity and darkness. Isaac Luria used the Sitra Achara to address the question of evil. The shattering of the divine vessels caused the Shekinah, which is God's immanent presence, to become exiled within these Klipothic realms. Thus, God's presence, paradoxically, dwells within the realm of the shells and husks, separated from the Sephirah due to humanity's sins. This creates a profound spiritual tension. The very beings who arise from these demonic shells, the Gentiles, simultaneously host the exiled divine presence. The Kabbalistic solution involves various methods of extracting divine sparks from the Klipothic imprisonment, often through interactions with Gentiles that ultimately serve the Jewish spiritual purpose. Thus, those operating from purely Klipothic consciousness essentially function as spiritual automatons or NPCs, beings without direct access to the divine, whose existence serves higher spiritual purposes beyond their comprehension. In fact, in many Jewish traditions, Gentiles are essentially viewed as clay to be molded, husks to be utilized, or obstacles to be navigated. In this light, the NPC or soulless being isn't just a cultural metaphor, but a spiritual reality with centuries of theological development. The contemporary identification of NPC behavior, automatic responses, lack of original thought, emotional programming, mirrors exactly what these traditions describe as Klipothic consciousness. These individuals operate from the tree of death rather than the tree of life, embodying the shells or demonic husks rather than the divine sparks. Are you enjoying this video? Do you want to go deeper? Join the Hidden America Patreon. New exclusive videos every week, plus 500 plus archived articles you won't find anywhere else. Videos YouTube will not allow me to post. Aleister Crowley also had a concept extremely similar to NPCs. Crowley seen a stark difference between the initiated and the profane, the magician and the common man. The uninitiated were known as the slaves. Crowley taught that the sole purpose of the magician is to achieve knowledge and conversation with one's holy guardian angel, a process of unifying with one's true divine will. This is also called the Great Work. To Crowley, those who do not undertake this work are considered to be governed by or slaves to their base subconscious desires and external influences. They are seen as automatons, reacting to life rather than dictating it. Crowley viewed the masses as being in a state of spiritual sleep, their wills fragmented and controlled by what he called the demons of the ego. They are not following their true will, but are instead slaves to the Crowleyan Klipoth of their own undeveloped psyches and societal programming. In the movie The Matrix, Neo, who at the start of the film has NPC consciousness until he takes the red pill. In the movie, he hides his illegal program in Jean Baudrillard's simulacra and simulation. This isn't by accident. Baudrillard's concept of hyperreality describes a state where the simulation or map precedes and replaces the real. The simulation becomes more real than reality itself, divorcing us from any authentic reference. Reality truly is a simulacrum, copies without originals. The NPC is a product and an agent of hyperreality. Their entire existential framework is based on the simulacra. Their desires are shaped by advertising. Their worldview is modeled by Netflix narratives and TikTok algorithms. Their political beliefs are reactions to media caricatures of the opposition. They do not engage with reality, but with the predigested symbolic order that stands in for it. For the NPC, a political event is not about policy, but about which media personalities' talking points they will parrot. A social cause is not about ground-level action, but about displaying the correct hashtag. They are mirroring the simulation, and their identity is a collage of those mirrored fragments. In a world where the real has been murdered by the fake, the NPC is the ideal citizen, a hollow signifier endlessly reflecting others' signs in a closed circuit of meaningless communication. This takes us to Friedrich Nietzsche's Last Man. Nietzsche argued that most of humanity is composed of herd animals who derive their morality and identity from the group. They fear the solitary, self-directed individual, the sovereign spirit, and create morality, the slave morality, to chain themselves. The herd operates on automatic, reactive instincts of resentment and conformity, utterly incapable of creating values of its own. Nietzsche's concept of the last man is our modern-day NPC. The last man is devoid of ambition, passion, or the capacity for great love or hate. He seeks only comfort and security, thinking and asking, what is love? What is creation? What is a star? The last man is the ultimate NPC, having extinguished the divine spark of the Übermensch, the Overman, before it could even ignite. So you might be asking, how do you break the NPC programming? Awakening isn't a passive event, it's a series of deliberate, often uncomfortable actions. It's the conscious decision to repossess your own mind. The process isn't about swapping one set of opinions for another. It's about changing your fundamental relationships to ideas themselves, moving from transmitted opinion to a conquered conviction. It's the arduous work of switching from a preloaded character to the player holding the controller. Your liberation begins with a single, conscious, unauthorized thought. Otherwise, there's always the NPC, the archetypical mass man of the 21st century. And in the digital age, NPC behavior has only been amplified. Social media platforms reward conformity and emotional reactiveness. Algorithms feed the same ideas into millions of people simultaneously. People outsource thinking to influencers, institutions, and AI. Memes become scripts or pre-programmed ideas, or worse, weaponized ideas that the mass repeat verbatim. The NPC meme has evolved into a commentary on collective programming in the age of platform-driven consciousness. The modern NPC is not merely a spiritual accident, but a deliberately engineered product of our age. Algorithmic conditioning, pharmaceutical dulling, education systems that valorize conformity have normalized this soulless repetition. Political and managerial elites benefit from a population of suggestible beings incapable of critical resistance or spiritual awakening. True consciousness manifests in discernible ways. The ability to resist tribal thinking, to recognize patterns beyond curated narratives, and to uphold principles under social pressure. The unawakened cling to imposed identities. The awake pursue coherence, integrity, and intellectual sovereignty. Thus, this convergence of gaming terminology with esoteric thought suggests that we are simply rediscovering ancient truths about human consciousness. Behind the meme lies an ancient recognition. Many lives are background characters in a story they did not choose. The path to awakening involves recognizing these spiritual hierarchies and transcending one's programmed existence. The question remains, how many are truly players in the great game of consciousness, and how many are merely background characters in someone else's story? The answer may determine not only individual destiny, but the spiritual future of humanity itself. You've been watching Hidden America. Until next time, stay awake with eyes wide open.